And welcome to the darkest days. Yes, the darkest 2 weeks of the year are upon you, denizens of the northern hemisphere. Oh, knows it's kind of dark. Hopefully we can brighten things up with some solar imagery for you here. There are the past 24 hours. It looks like another active region about to rise down there in the southeast, aka more sunspots on the way, it looks like. Southeastern active region rising as a bunch of active sunspots set in the northwest. So we'll lose them off the sunspot number, and some of those will get replaced rapidly. Some more imagery from SDO for you. Massive filaments suspended there over the eastern limb as well. Perhaps even more sunspots nestled behind that side of the sun. And of course, I don't look at the stereo B imagery. I don't look at the seismology either. I try to forecast using magnetic field data. So it helps to keep me sharp in predicting, and we'll show more solar activity here momentarily. First, the photosphere. That's what's going on for sunspots, and mostly stable. No major changes. We'll show some closer up imagery here a little bit later in the video. First, take a moment to patronize the channel. By the way, if you enjoy particle physics and you've got a question that you'd like to hear explained by a particle physicist, join us over at smashomash.com/forum. Sometimes we'll even answer questions asked in the comments on YouTube or on Twitter. Who knows? They could come from any place. Smashomash.com/forum does include a general science forum to which to submit them. And the following are paid endorsements, starting with May That Solar Wind Be At Your Back product, the 16 megapixel image of the closest star, along with one of the channel taglines there, as well as the home page. You can get it printed on the back of your shirt also if you like. Anyway, may that solar wind be at your back, whether you pick up merch or not. Links below the video. Check it out. Save up to 50% on some items there at Redbubble. Did you know that insufficient levels of certain types of B vitamins can cause bad breath? Yeah, it's a thing, folks. How about check it out? Check out the savings there on the B complex from our Amazon shop. Amazon.com/shop/smashomash. Save 33% on a 360 count of B complex with vitamin C. Which B vitamins does it have, you ask? Well, there's the list. And I can't read that. It is way too small. Vitamin C, thiamine, riboflavin, niacin. I don't know. Whatever. You read it. Amazon.com/shop/smashomash. Also, save on your CBD products with our promo code SMASHOMASH10 from the Hemp Lucid shop. HempLucid.com. Again, the promo code SMASHOMASH10 will save you 10% at HempLucid.com. Lots of great gift ideas there. If you're looking for things like CBDs, gummies, etc., and it's not allowing me to navigate. Most popular would be the CBD water-soluble tincture. I prefer oil-soluble tinctures. They have a longer duration and a longer onset. So a lot of people like the water-soluble because they have a shorter duration and shorter onset. But whatever. I don't know. Use them, don't use them. Remember, folks, don't reduce your inflation too much. It can affect athletic performance. I'll just say that. SMASHOMASH10 will save you 10% at HempLucid.com is the point. And I've got an unknown number of windows open here. Let's move on. If you want to support the channel via subscription services like Patreon, just way better, become a member of the Smash Team at smashomash.com/Smash Team. There's the login page, smashomash.com/Smash Team. Thanks to Gold and Silver Smash Team members. And if you're new to the channel, press subscribe. If you're anybody, press like if you haven't done so already, because pressing like a second time just unpresses the like button. Don't do that. I'd rather have you press dislike. Yes, a dislike is better than nothing. Just like a rage comment is better than none. If we've made you mad, make sure you let us know. We encourage rage comments. Thanks to everybody who's rage quit the server. Have you rage quitted the server today? We apologize. Smashomash.com is where you can find all of our links. You can hit us up on social media, etc. Smashomash.com. And welcome to the Neo Renaissance. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists. Let's get to the ever-popular world of volcanoes. First of all, Krakatoa is erupting, producing a 4,000-foot ash plume. As it explodes, it's a flight level 040. Semeru, discrete volcanic ash reported there. Dacono, continuous volcanic emissions, produces 8,000-foot ash plume. Not sure about Popocatépetl. Santiaguito exploding, flight level 140 over Guatemala. 14,000-foot ash plume, 15,000-foot ash plume over Fuego in Guatemala. Not observed at Nevado del Ruiz. Sangay exploding, 20,000-foot ash plume. Sabancaya exploding, 24,000-foot ash plume. And Ubinas exploding, flight level 230. It's a 23,000-foot plume of volcanic ash. Moving on to seismic activity. There was a little earthquake swarm in Alaska. Hopefully nothing smashed you. There are the past 90 days of seismic activity. And here are the past 24 hours. Again, a seismic swarm happened there in Alaska. It looks like those were all just below a 5 magnitude there. That one a 4.7. Might have been felt by somebody, although the state is pretty sparsely populated. Anyway, here comes the list of 5 and greater magnitude earthquakes for the past 24 hours. Fiji Islands had a 5.4. That was at extreme depth over 500 kilometers. Indonesia had a 5.0. Northern Mariana Islands region had a 5.7. One of the more seismically active regions of the world for the past month or so. And then a 5.0 nearby Mariana Islands. And that's it. Pretty seismically calm over the past 24 hours. And here comes some more solar imagery for you. There's SDO 171 angstroms. Dag. And before we get to things like coronal holes, let's talk about stats. Like the 10.7. What is it? I have no idea. I don't memorize these things. What do you think? I'm going to commit the 10.7 centimeter radio flux to memory? That's crazy talk. 149 is the radio flux. There it is in a 1-year format depicted by the black line. It is a proportional data set to Sunspot number, by the way, if you're wondering. Here, check it out on the Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard. Just scroll down, and there you go. It follows the Sunspot number directly. A very precise correlation for decades. Sunspot number and radio flux. They are directly proportional. Anyway, there's a 3-day forecast for NOAA. Expecting some geomagnetic storms tonight, and it might be better than last night. So we are seeing a minor impact happening right now. We're expecting a lot more significant one than this. So I don't think we've seen the brunt of it yet, so to speak. But we'll keep you posted. Here's the forecast, expecting it to arrive basically at any minute. So we have seen a mild impact, so that is probably the CME we're talking about here. But there are other events on the way also. So NOAA does affirm that there are multiple CMEs. They just haven't really remodeled them. So Anyway, that's what's going on. NASA did model some of them. So here comes NASA's model. And here you'll notice that there is one that's mostly off to the west, the southwest, really. And that's not completely inaccurate. However, there are additional events there. So we covered them. I don't know. I'm not going to be redundant and keep going over the same thing, but we talked about it yesterday and also Thursday. I've been saying Thursday because Smash Staff takes offense to when I say Thursday, so that's always fun. Anyway, here are the past 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from space. I'll let that play through in its entirety, but I won't let it play until Thursday. I want to slightly shorten tonight's video, by the way. Gonna pick up the pace here. So just mild geomagnetic activity here, approaching geomagnetic unrest, but not quite. It's pretty calm on the space weather front at Earth and also on the sun. Here are the past 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. And soon I will be talking like the guy in the Micro Machines commercial. Remember that, the Micro Machines commercial, the guy that talked kind of quickly? I think he was a world record holder for a little while. Speed talking. That's a world record to hold, I guess. I wonder what it's like. Anyway, that's the past 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. Mild geomagnetic conditions kicking up. KP3 is the current situation. KP3. Here's the auroral forecast, and I'm frankly bored with it, so I'm moving on. Here's the auroral forecast for both tonight and tomorrow night. So some possibility of aurora tomorrow, better possibility tonight. So far, things are looking weak. Geoelectric field, nothing going on there. Too exciting. Nothing exciting going on with aurora at Iceland. Next, solar wind. So wake up and smell the protons or something. So here's a little minor CME impact. Could be two separate events, could be a single event with different features. Oftentimes we see outer layers and cores and things like that, so we cover it all the time on the channel. But here we see some magnetic field fluctuation, but it's all part of the same plasma temperature in there, so that's a fairly uniform set of activity starting right around here. But that's the ACE. Let's move to the Discover. The Discover is a little bit better in its entirety. So here we got two little perturbations happening there. Maximum density wasn't even at 20 protons per cubic centimeter. And we have seen a strengthening of the fields here a little bit and a pretty decent negative BZ component, but solar wind density is dropping off. So I would not suspect that this is that well-earthly directed one, the one associated with the X-class flare that everybody's hiding in their bunkers because of right now. Or I suppose they are. I don't know. I have no evidence of this because I don't let those people in my bunker. Anyway, moving right along, here are our GOES magnetometers, and they are pretty calm there. So no major shifts in Earth's magnetic fields. And next, our line of sight eclipse, our top view ecliptic plane field plot. Top view ecliptic plane. There it is. That is the magnetic sector situation, and Earth is now in a North Pole sector once again. Here's the last image, and there you go. Earth now in a North Pole sector, along with both stereo B to the left and stereo A to the right. Next, our line of sight ecliptic plane field plot. And it looks like we've got quite a bit of additional North Pole sector ahead, although there is some additional magnetic indecision over there also, so not too definitive. Let's take a look at the line of sight field plot, and yeah, the B field is pretty fanned out over there. I suspect we're going to see North Pole current sheet for a few days. North Pole magnetic sector. And here's our coronal hole line of sight plot. North Pole coronal holes look like they've won out for now. So here's the uptick in coronal holes that we've been forecasting for an ongoing period of time. And you can expect this to continue for a solid year. So coronal holes, super important feature of the solar cycle. Not even discovered until the 1970s, and the late 70s no less. As these are not visible from the ground, they must be viewed from space. They only appear in certain wavelengths, especially, they appear in various wavelengths. However, certain wavelengths really don't like to be there. So certain ionic states of iron, like this one, do not like to be in coronal holes. For example, 304 angstroms, not very good at showing coronal holes, but 211 and 193 are fantastic. And let's move on to sunspots. Sunspot number has come up a little bit. It's going to drop back down as those sunspots set in the northwest. So we'll see the sunspot number here hovering around the average line as some new spots have just gotten names. There's 3521. We'll also have 3522, 23, and 24 in the coming day or so. So assuming they don't evaporate in the meantime, we've got at least 2 or 3 more sunspot groups likely to get named, which are already visible on the solar disk. Before we get to protons, let's take a look at, here we go, there's SDO Continuum. Another 24-hour video. So we've got, 3 new sunspots will get named at least. Maybe 4. But there's the data. You be the judge. Next, energetic particles. So check out the perfect, it was almost a perfect midnight peak flux for this little proton event that happened. Turned out to be a little weaker than it could have been, obviously. It did get into warning levels there a little bit. The polar radio blackouts have diminished. So it dropped just, this area in here was just high enough to create some polar radio blackouts. But those have subsided. And we're headed back down to baseline levels until another event happens. So, polar radio blackouts have ended. No major flaring here for the past 24 hours, just a C-class event or 2, or, well, really a C-class background flux. Background flux here at about a C1.3. And here come flares. We'll show 94 angstroms. We'll show 131 angstroms. Most active region is indeed that northwestern sunspot. That'll be out of sight, but the solar flare watch will continue in that area for at least another 24 hours. Probably more like 36 hours, we could still see a large flare long after that sunspot sets on that northwestern limb. Here's 94 and 131 together. So that's the scenario, and here comes a star chart. So let's get to some more calm stuff. And if you're out viewing the night sky right now, if you've got a clear night, you might be able to see Deneb, one of the more interesting objects in the sky. Of course, the constellation Cygnus is a super important constellation. It contains one of the intrinsically brightest objects, one of the only known cosmic ray point sources, as well as the second brightest radio source in the entire sky, second only to the sun. That's 3C405, known as Cygnus A, a galaxy believed to be 530 million light years away. Just a very strong radio galaxy, viewed largely edge-on. It's got fantastic radio jets. Anyway, next, getting to our solar system forecast, we'll show you where things are today. Yeah. And where things will be in a week. Wow. The astronomy photo of the day is some moon. It's Enceladus. Yes, Enceladus. A very interesting one in that it's got liquid water, so kind of exciting there. Enceladus, it's got these shifting plates of ice and a massive ocean. One of the most likely places to contain life in the solar system. No idea what's going inside of that thing. Does it have an internal dynamo? Anyway, it's currently certainly got liquid water. And let's move on. That's apod.nasa.gov, by the way, apod.nasa.gov. And here come CMEs. And I mean that both literally and in this video, because we showed more than what are in NOAA and NASA's forecasts. Anyway, here is there's a comet also here showing up, looking like it's met an untimely demise in the solar wind. Whoops, and here are today's coronagraphs. 77 more frames there. Do we have any more Earth-directed CMEs? I suspect that we don't, based on what I see here, but let's move on. Here we've got C3 and C2. Some CMEs happening there. They do not look earthly directed. So off to the east, off to the west. Really, it's more like the southeast and the west. Let's let those play through here. I'm going to let C3 catch up a little bit. C2 is at 524. There we go. Now it's about 2 hours ahead, it looks like. That's pretty good. So the C2 is slightly ahead of the C3 there. And there's one CME out of the southeast and then another one out of the west around the same time. So around midday. Around midday, that CME emerged on the coronagraph. So that gives us some idea of where to look for. Stereo A. There you go, Stereo A, that's where it's located. Here are the coronagraphs. Let's let the difference imagery catch up. And starting at 409. And it looks like there's missing difference imagery there, unfortunately. And now it's gotten ahead instead. All right, that's suboptimal. But these are not earthly directed CMEs, so I'm not going to worry too much about their trajectory. That is just an interesting light show, little more. Continuing on to filaments, but first, let's take a look at them from SDO. Dang! That's some pretty good imagery, right? Cerro Tololo, Chile. And it looks like one of those CMEs actually came from right down here, this filament. See ya! Blasted off. That could have an earthly directed component, so hey, who knows? I don't think so, but it looks like we do see a little limb darkening over here if you watch this area. Right after, you can kind of, I don't know, maybe not. It could be clouds. I mean, keep in mind that it's a ground-based telescope. Here's the grayscale imagery, and look at the massive prominences rising over the eastern limb. The entire eastern limb is massive prominences. We'll show them here in a moment. That's a very short moment. There you go. Big-time prominences. Jag. That is what I'm talking about. That's the past about 3 hours, and you can expect this level of activity to do nothing but increase for about another 11 months. Something like that. Maybe 10, 11 months until solar maximum, so solar cycles. Cheers. So let's get the bonus features. First, charging hazards. We got some significant surface charging there over the western Indian Ocean and so on. There's the map. Electron flux past 3 days. There you go. There is the past year of electron flux, a little increase. The CME impacts have been minor. Here is the forecasts for the relativistic electrons. And what do we got? A small uptick in the forecast there. That's an indication NOAA doesn't really think we're going to have a CME impact. There is the map of the F-flare. And here comes the actual ionosphere map. Where am I? There we go. So weak geomagnetic storms here. We won't see a lot of abnormalities happen in the ionosphere. Not at all. It'll look quite normally. There's the anomalygram. And you won't have all that much red on there. You'll have more red than blue, but not an excessive amount. It gives you some indication of how puffy the ionosphere is. I'll just say that. The ionosphere gets puffy when space weather shows up. It expands. Anyway, there's the latest image, 2300 universal time ionogram and anomalygram. Here's the global ionosphere nowcast. Wham! Last Christmas, we didn't play this, but this year we did, so you don't get pissed. It's the Global Ionosphere Nowcast. It shows you both the total electron content and anomaly and maximum usable radio frequency and anomaly all in one convenient map. Convenient for both GPS users and radio operators. We'll also show total electron content by itself. Feel free to pause the video in this frame if you're not familiar with distances in miles. There is your total electron content forecast. And it's looking like it's pretty jacked up yet. I mean, I don't know what's going on with this data. This has looked jacked up for maybe 6 weeks now. That's completely jacked up at the moment. Doesn't work at all. But these certainly do. Some very high-res images. And look at that, we've got another sunspot probably rising down here, and indeed it is. So we'll have like 4 or maybe even as many as 5 new named sunspot groups tomorrow. Will it be enough to replace all of these? Probably not. We'll still see a little dip in sunspot number, but it's going to take like 2 days to get some of these sunspots named. But that one is clearly already showing ombre, so multiple new sunspots getting named in the next 48 hours, assuming they don't suddenly evaporate, which is a thing that happens. So anyway, today we're going to start meteorology with some U.S. weather stuff. So this is an interesting one here. We've got some anomalously warm water on Lake Michigan, and it's also on Lake Superior. And keep in mind, Great Lakes have a tendency to increase the winds. So they have a tendency to, because it's water, so the air only has one way to go, so it tends to accelerate across water. So the Great Lakes greatly affect weather, and there's a low getting pulled right toward them. So we may see some rapid intensification of that low. And we'll show you that here momentarily. Actually, let's show the pressure. So here is the mean sea level pressure, and this little low right here is, it's going to have some power. So it's not a super high pressure gradient, but there's a lot of convective potential here on those warm Great Lakes. Now, are they super warm? Not really. They're just slightly anomalously warm. So there's the temperature. There's the temperature anomaly. Keep in mind, you know, Michigan is like real shallow. It's bizarre. Lake Michigan is a bizarre Great Lake. Anyway, moving right along to our regularly scheduled meteorology. Surface winds of the east. Jet streams. Like sands through the hourglass of time, these are the jet streams of the central world. And these are the surface winds. Surface winds of the west. How many wicked witches occupy that map? Let us know in the comments what you think. Last but not least, the jet streams of the Western world. And lots of jet stream action happening over the U.S. We got a tripled up jet stream there over portions of North America and portions of actually two different places there, and a huge kink there, allowing some cold air to move around from Canada and so forth, and causing a little pressure gradient to happen, and I won't get into it, but that's what's going on. Here come clouds and fog. We've got great imagery of that low moving its way like into Michigan, into Illinois, actually, as we produce the video. You can see that low moving up there into, moving across, really moving into Wisconsin, actually, making its way across Iowa. So here's a great view of that low. Just a classic low pressure system there, and sadly there's not too much, well, I mean, if you like big storms, sadly there's not too much water vapor to drive that thing, but we'll see what happens in the forecast here in just one moment. So here is the rain accumulation forecast for the next 3 days. You can see the heaviest rain there expected for actually North Carolina and Virginia Beach. Also Maryland, places like Ocean City, Maryland, going to get plastered with rain there. That's the GFS forecast. Here's the Euro forecast. Euro forecast is showing Florida getting hit much harder, South Carolina, and much lighter on Virginia Beach. Shout out to Kyle Warner. Yeah, Kyle Warner. Make sure you follow him on Instagram and YouTube. And is he on Spotify, Smash Staff? Kyle Warner, folks. Multi-skilled, multi-talented character. Anyway, here's our weather.gov map. And a bunch of weather warnings there for the East Coast, and some flood watches for places like right here. We're located right about here, by the way, folks. Right about there. Almost in smelling distance of New Jersey. So first, the jet stream forecast, as the jet stream is largely in control of moving your weather from west to east. It's also responsible for large temperature variations. It was like pushing 60 degrees in Pennsylvania today. Fantastic to go out riding a bike in shorts in mid-December. Anyway, that's what's going on in the jet stream. 72-hour GFS forecast. 72-hour pressure and precipitation forecast is next. And it looks like that low is just basically going to fizzle out. It's not. It doesn't really have anything to. Well, there's going to be a little bit of precipitation from that. It's going to make a turn to the east and then go back to the northeast. Interestingly, it's going to go east and then northeast. But that really strong low, the one that's just about to plaster Florida, is just going to slide right up the east coast. It's actually going to split in two also. That's an interesting feature. Here's our total accumulated precipitation forecast in inches. Same model, GFS 72-hour. And there is temperature anomaly in degrees Celsius. Temperature anomaly in degrees Celsius, GFS 72-hour forecast. We show 72-hour forecasts because they tend to be accurate. Holy crap, what's happening down here? What did Diamond move out of Colorado? Look at that. Diamond must be on vacation because there's a bunch of cold air right in south central Colorado. Diamond's on vacation, folks. Diamond, a.k.a. talc. Shout out to talc. A soft, greasy, carcinogenic rock. Anyway, here comes lightning. Lightning is next. And that is what's going on for lightning. Here is the real-time lightning map. And it's pretty quiet. No terrestrial lightning in the U.S., but there might be some coming to Florida in the coming days. So a little bit of lightning in the Gulf there as that system makes its way toward the Australia of the U.S., Florida. Florida, it's the Australia of the U.S. Florida is to the U.S. what Australia is to the world. No? Here's the lower 48 Doppler. Dag, Florida's already getting plastered. I stand corrected. Here is the clouds and fog map. And so far, the geomagnetic storm's a dud, but it's about to get cloudy in Pennsylvania anyway, so I don't suspect I'll be viewing any aurora. Anyway, here is the recap. Doppler radar. Shortwave radiation. And the water vapor map illuminating your map from the Smash News station in the darkest days of your soul. Wait, not of your soul, just of the year for the Northern Hemisphere. Yeah, that. Anyway, see you soon. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists. I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash-O-Mash, signing off. And may that solar wind be at your back. I'm going back to the bunker again, living on canned peas and cans of Spam.